have this WhatsApp group, and it's very much like, this isn't working, have you had this problem, or have you printed with this paper before? And it's just a little group where you can go and kind of just scream or celebrate. I think that has been a big game changer.
That was Sarah, and she is today's latest guest of the Digital Circus Live. Sarah owns Sarah and Maude, a vintage printing press company based in the Northeast. In today's episode, she talks about how as a solopreneur, it can be quite quiet and lonely. Therefore, she really relies on a community around of people who understand just what happens in small business and how they can uplift her. Before you watch today's episode, please do make sure that if you like what you see, you're giving us a little thumbs up and subscribe if you can. We love hearing your responses about these episodes, and we want this to be as good as it possibly can moving forward. We really hope you enjoyed today's episode. Let's get started. Go. Sarah, thank you so much for being with us today. And I know pre-record you're a little bit nervous. There's no need to be nervous. We're going to look after you for the next half hour or so. But every time we start one of these episodes, we start with one very important question. And that is, what is it that you are trying to achieve right now?
I start with a difficult one.
Always.
Sorry.
I guess at the moment within my business, I'm focusing on, bringing in clients, but also visibility, which is why I'm part of the community. But I'm working actually right now on some website updates, SEO, that kind of thing, to try and just get myself more visible and out there so people find me. So kind of before Christmas, that's my kind of short-term goal is to work on that. But also I'm kind of juggling Christmas sales as well, because Christmas season seems to have kicked off with greeting cards and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that part of my year has started. So until like the third week in December, I'll be probably going to the post office lots, hopefully, and wrapping up the parcels. Yeah.
And long term, what is your
how does that align with your kind of personal long term goals?
Yeah, so long term, it's funny because this year has been it's been quiet. Like I know some people have had busy years, some people have had a quieter time. For me, it's been pretty quiet. There's been some business and some wedding stuff in stationery, but it has been quite quiet, which it's not been great, but then it's given me a chance to actually work in my business and actually focus on what I want to do. So for me, longer term, it's bringing in more wedding stationery projects. I really love working on them, but I do want to keep working with small businesses because I'm a small business. I love working with other small business owners. So just kind of really pushing that and kind of lots more of it. And I still love keeping like the stationery, like paper goods side of it going, because that's like a little creative outlet for me. So yeah, they kind of focusing on those three areas, but mainly just pushing on the kind of more bespoke stationery, which is the fun bit.
Yeah, you touched on there that it being a quiet year, and yes, do you know what? And it's really brave, and I always love it when people actually say, "No, do you know what? It's been quiet this year," and I think not enough business owners feel comfortable to say that out loud, because there's sometimes that pressure of showing up, being visible and going, everything is okay. And I think over the last few years, with everything that's happened over the last few years and various situations, and I hate saying pandemics, but that kind of stuff,
yeah.
Now more than ever, I think it's really important to recognise when things are not necessarily as good as they were as well, and that's totally fine, because we all resonate with that a lot more. But what you just said there as well, it's taking that time when you should be busy with work, but busying yourself with the important things that matter to move that business forward as well, in terms of working within the business and looking at that forward plan as well.
Something you said that I'd like to ask a question on first, is you were talking about the wedding stationery, and you said, I think you said you loved it. Like it's, why do you love that so much?
I think because it's a chance to just, I love working with people, so I enjoy anything that involves working with clients closely. And I think with I love business stationery because I get to know small business owners, and they kind of build more of a relationship. Like it's more of a repeat cycle with that. I get people coming back and they'll kind of check in once or twice a year and place orders. With weddings, I think it's just the it's part of the excitement of it and the creativity, and also knowing that it's with stationery, it's one of the first things that people, like, you know, you book your venue and your date, and then you're thinking about the stationery and inviting people often before you get to the outfits and the food and the flowers and things. So it's nice to kind of get in on that early stage when everything's really exciting, and maybe just into the planning process, and just work with people really closely on what is a really special day in their lives. And often for me, it's like they'll come, and I've been there myself last year. It can be really overwhelming, and you know, it's a very involved process to plan your wedding. There's so much to think about.
There really is, isn't there?
Yeah, money to spend and decisions to make. And you know, people will come to me and say, oh, it's just so stressful, and there's so many decisions to make, things to think about. And you know, one thing I learned through going through the process myself is just enjoy the process as much as you can. And if anything goes wrong on the day, and somebody actually said this to me, if anything goes wrong on the day, nobody else will know. No. Probably. It's, you know, if things don't go to plan, focus on the details if you really want them. But if something doesn't happen, or something goes wrong, or you know, it doesn't turn up and you have to do the day without it, it's fine. And sometimes I think just giving a little bit of support to couples as well, and just, you know, not just being there as a transaction, but actually being there as a human and saying, no, I've gone through this. Like, I know it can be so stressful. Like, but yeah, just, you know, chill out and enjoy it.
So we said, Sarah, don't panic. You know, we'll look after this podcast. She was a bit nervous before, and lo and behold, we had a technical glitch. But hopefully, we're back on track now. So, Sarah,
we hope. Who knows? Actually,
before our technical glitch,
I brought gremlins with me. That's
oh. But
just don't get water on them.
We were discussing, obviously, your love of working with couples, and you were lucky enough to get married last year, and went through that process, and we were very fortunate to know you last year and know your build up to the wedding, and how you'll go through your own stresses and strains for dealing with it. Does that newfound empathy, have you changed the way in which you interact with your couples these days? Do you have anything else you add to that in terms of now knowing those trials and tribulations of wedding planning?
Yeah, I think it's to a certain extent, like, running a small business is almost like continually planning a wedding in a way.
100%.
It just feels like you're always kind of like, okay, deal with this, deal with that, and then with the next decision making. So it can feel a bit like wedding planning can feel like a very condensed version of running a business. But yeah, I think for me, some of the advice I was given, like the couple of little nuggets of wisdom, I kind of passed on. Because it is very, like, thinking, you know, about if something goes wrong, nobody else will know on the day. And I think in the midst of it, it can, like, the smallest things can feel so important, but then on the day you completely forget about it, and it's not a big deal. So little things like that, where someone said that to me and I've thought, you know what, yeah, I'm going to share that. Because if someone comes to me and they're a bit stressed and they don't know where to start, it's like, okay, it's fine. I'm here to help. Like, that's what I always say to people, is I'm here to help in any way I can.
I was going to
I'm on it. No. You asked the last question. Right. So 2 things. Okay. First of all, your face is literally lighting up as you're talking about helping other people. It did before the glitch. I feel like, is this the Avengers? What was it called in Avengers? Where they called it after everyone died?
When after Thanos, I don't know.
No, it's got its own name. You know, it was before the glitch. It's still lighting up. So where does the love and the desire to want to help people come from? Has something happened? Is it just there? Has it been there always?
I think just running a business, and especially letterpress printing as well, with what I do. There's a community. It's a heritage craft. There's not a lot of, there's a surprising amount of people that have antique print presses, but there's not a lot of us, really. And I think starting that journey as a small business owner, it started, I was made redundant, so I kind of was thrown into it at very short notice. And there's just, I think the people that are there as that happens and kind of help you through, and the little people, the people that come in and help you at different stages, I just really like to kind of pay that forwards in what I do. So, and I like to think of running a small business, it's a way to have that personal connection in a way that when I worked in design agencies, I didn't really have as much. I never worked in a huge agency, but I didn't really get that client contact as often as I do now. And I think it just really helps to get to know people and to actually be able to interact and work on one-to-one, and especially with business clients, them coming back and building a relationship. There's just something special about that, and I just love being able to help someone make their stationery feel special or bring to life what they had in their head, but they weren't sure how to go about it. So
I love that. What I was going to jump on is something you said in the previous question that it's gone to the back, was the fact that planning a wedding, running a small business is like planning a wedding, and that really, 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 really has resonated with me, because we obviously have a background in weddings as well. But the level of ongoing, that list of ongoing things that you'd not really thought of before, and do you need this and do you need that, and the amount of people you're interacting with to both appease and to get on board, and to that level of planning and the level of time management and all of that absolutely feels like running a business versus that wedding thing. But likening it to what you just said there about the community, that's the same as the wedding as well. You think about all those people involved in building out that special day, your suppliers, your family, your friends, the people in your direct wedding party, all of that is like your tribe of people who are lifting you on. So you work by yourself, don't you?
Yeah.
Do you still see that you have a team behind you? Would you say you have a team behind you in that wider community sense?
I do, yeah. And I think it's funny, like thinking about weddings and business, our wedding was tiny as well. We had like 9 guests. So it was just very immediate family. Some of Andrew's family came over from Canada, and it was just this teeny tiny wedding, 11 people, like just up in Yorkshire, just in a lovely space for a couple of days. Just relaxing, like the whole theme was just relaxed, cozy celebration, just lots of love in the air. And I think that's kind of, I've never thought about it before, but yeah, it's definitely the way I run my business. Like I will probably always be the only person in my business. And I like that. I am a smaller scale business. I'll never mass produce things. The means that I print, the way I print is slow and laborious and painstaking, sometimes frustrating. But because of that, it brings this kind of forced smallness and coziness and just that more personal touch, I think. So I guess, it's running my business. I have a support network of other creative people, and it's funny. There's actually 4 or 5 of us. We have a little WhatsApp group called the Ladies of Letterpress. So when they watch this, shout out to the ladies. But yeah,
don't forget to subscribe, ladies.
We have this WhatsApp group, and it's very much like, this isn't working. Have you had this problem, or have you printed with this paper before? And it's just a little group where you can go and kind of just scream or celebrate. I think that has been a big game changer, and definitely. Through lockdowns and like coming back into like kind of re-emerging from all of that, that support definitely in the last couple of years has made a huge difference, because I just don't feel alone anymore. It's like it's very easy as a small business owner to feel alone, but you never actually are, really. There's always someone else having the same problem as you.
I think it's one of those, isn't it? It's very easy to feel alone, and we forget there's 2 of us quite a lot, right? Yeah. It's very easy to feel alone, but it's also quite simple to feel connected and with other people. And so picking together a couple of things you talked about being made redundant, so therefore you went and started your own business. I think you said when you started your business, you had the other people with the printing presses offering you support and everything else. And that kind of family and community feel is always there. It's like everything you've said has been about helping people, family, community. Would you have started your own business without them? And as a sub question, why did you start your own business and not just get another job?
Well, I'll tackle the second question first because it's the easier one to answer. This happened. I'd been working in design industry for about 10 years. And this was actually the second time I was made redundant. The first time was just 6 months after I graduated, and I'd found a job straight away, and it was fantastic. And then I was made redundant. So I was like, okay. Last in, first out. So I actually, at that point, I managed to find another job in an agency, and I was there for a few years. And it was, I moved to Canada in 2008 and was living there and working as a designer. And I'm trying to think, it was early 2011, I think, that it happened. And just went in one day, and some people were taken upstairs and some people were given a letter downstairs. And it was like, okay, you can come in and clear your desk. But yeah, so I kind of went home and I was like, I don't know what's just happened. It's happened again. And to be honest, at the time, I wasn't loving that job, particularly. And I'd been doing some letterpress printing as a hobby. That's like how I rediscovered my love of letterpress. Was I was doing an evening class, and I kind of joined a local print group, a print workshop. And when I was made redundant, the way that things work in Canada, or did at that time, was that if you work for yourself, the kind of social support system there tops up your salary. So you can actually work and earn like self-employment income. And they kind of say, okay, well, we think you need this much to live per month. And if you earn over that, you won't get anything. But if you earn under that, we'll kind of top you up and pay the difference. I don't know if I'd have been able to do what I did over here, because I don't think that actually exists here. So that system actually helped me start my business. You get the support for up to a year, I think it is, up to 52 weeks. And I think it was that allowed me to actually try and start my business, because some of the clients that I'd worked with at the agency actually came to me as an independent. And
always good.
Yeah. So it was a funny way to start, but it kind of worked out. It was like flying by the seat of my pants, and I didn't know if it would stick, if it would carry on, if I'd be able to do it in the longer term. But I thought, right, I'll just give it a go, because the support is there if I need it for a few months. I'll give it a go. And at that point, I was primarily doing design, so branding, annual reports, advertising, that kind of stuff. It was all very much designed for print. But the kind of hobby printing was still there on the side. And it was when we moved back to the UK, just over, I think it was 18 months after I'd been made redundant, that within 6 months of that, I'd bought Maude and was doing a lot more printing. And then the change was really gradual, from kind of doing a lot more branding and print design to actually moving more into luxury paper goods and, wedding stationery and business stationery. So it was kind of forced on me, but I always remember Andrew, my husband, saying at the time when I was made redundant that day, I was kind of in shock. And he said, this could actually be the best thing that happens to you all year. And this is January. And I was like, it just doesn't feel like it. But I don't want to get another job, because I don't want to be in this position again. I don't want it to happen a third time. Like, once was unfortunate. 2 is annoying. 3, no, that's just not going to happen. So that was what made me kind of push and actually make the start.
Alan's stepmom.
I was going to say that. My dad and stepmom had a career in being made redundant for quite a few years.
And it takes its toll. It absolutely takes its toll. So my question to you, just moving away from the redundancy side a little bit there, Sarah, is you started building your business in Canada, and then you moved it over back to the UK. How did you find that transition in terms of, obviously you'd set up in Canada, you had a client base in Canada, you were doing design and print in Canada. Did you find a little bit of a dip when you came back? I appreciate you saying you were building it up slowly. How did you go from transitioning that to a completely different continent?
It wasn't easy. I won't lie. It was very much, what do I do? I feel like I'm starting from scratch. And luckily for me, like my husband he was employed the first year that we were here. Then he went on to be a student. But yeah, the first year that we were here, when I was kind of finding my feet, he was actually working. So we had his salary coming in, which was good. But yeah, I did actually keep, I mean, the wonders of modern technology, I did actually keep working for some of those Canadian clients, probably for up to a year or more when I actually got here. Because yeah, designing for print, I could send them the files and then it would be printed over there. So that worked really well. And it just gradually kind of started to build here. I didn't do anything big to kind of get myself out there. I was on socials, I was on Facebook and Instagram and all that kind of stuff that was around in 2013.
10 years.
Wow. Oh my god, a decade ago.
My god, don't. It's like I realised today that like I graduated 20 years ago and all of a sudden I just feel
Don't do it to yourself. Don't do it to yourself. It's like those memes where they say that 20 years ago was 1983 and it's not, it was 2000. It's like, oh shit.
Yeah, but one of the things we've been we started our wedding business around 2012, 2013, and marketing your small business and the internet has changed so much in one decade, massively. Right? Unbelievable, isn't it? Like phenomenally different. That catches us off guard some days because I sometimes find myself falling into how you might have done it in 2013 and go, no, it's a bit different nowadays. You got to work a bit harder, if anything.
Yeah. So. It seemed a lot quieter then. And like something like Instagram, it's like you could go on and post a picture of something I'd printed. And like hundreds of people would see it. And it's just, I'm just like tiny me with a few hundred followers living in Birmingham at the time. And it's like now it's a slog to try and get people to see. It's like the Googles and the algorithms and everything have like really kicked in that decade. Yeah. And it's like, it just does take that more concerted effort to get to
it really
where
does.
You want to be. Yeah,
it really does.
Yeah, I think that's another thing to like pat small business owners on the back with, is that we don't come into this career necessarily with a digital marketing degree. That's not something we have to learn, and it's tricky. It's really tricky. And anyone listening to us right now wanting to understand a bit more about being a small business owner, there are many hats we all wear, and especially when you're working by yourself. And that's why, coming back to what you're saying about community and team there, and why it's great to have those spaces with your WhatsApp group. We had the same conversation literally before hitting record today with we have a virtual coffee morning. We do that once a month, and they are the most least networking business calls you will ever come across, because it's not about necessarily talking about your elevator pitch and being businessy. It's about having space to talk to people who get it. Yeah, and finding those people who are not necessarily your husband, your wife, your dad, your mum, your neighbour, because they don't always get it, and that's totally fine. Yeah, but carving out somewhere or someone who you can just scream on a WhatsApp call to go, oh my god, it's so integral.
I think that's really important. Yeah, and it's funny. Just before the pandemic, like before COVID, I was working with a mentor. And it was really, I was kind of at a stage in my business where I didn't know which direction to take things. I was wanting to get more into wedding stationery, but I wasn't sure how to do it. I was thinking about focusing on the paper goods side of things. And I was like this close to signing up to do a trade show, like a greeting card trade show. And I remember sitting and kind of doing a pros and cons list and like thinking, okay, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go in this direction. And that came through working with the mentor. And I remember having a conversation with her because she said, what do you want to get out of the sessions? And there was obviously like some business related stuff, and I had business goals. one of the big ones was actually making decisions myself and trusting my own gut. Because there were so many times that I would have decisions to make and say to Andrew, like my husband, who, you know, is a lecturer in psychology and has nothing to do with creative arts at all. And I'd say to him, what do you think about this? Should I do this or this? And he's like, I don't know. Like, I want to, you could do one or the other. Like, I don't know.
Why does he not know?
That's it. I'm like, you've got to tell me. I can't make this decision. And I think I'd been doing that for a couple of years and like just thinking, oh, I'm not getting, like, you should know the answer. And she's like, but I don't do what you do. And we'd kind of gone back and forth like this, over a couple of years. And it would come up every now and then. I thought, I just need to actually trust my gut. This is my business. My business is me. And I need to make these decisions for me because I know my clients. And if I ask Andrew or my mom or my dog to make the decision for me, then that's not actually true to my business because they're not in my business and kind of they don't know those people that I'm working with, and clients end up as friends. And I think that happens when you are, and I hate to use the word authentic because it's just so
we do, although we agree, right? I do feel we need a small business buzzer, like authenticity.
I can't think of another word, but it's just just being yourself and being true to yourself has kind of just really helped, I think, grow my business in a way. Just being true to yourself and being honest and approachable, and those are the things. Like, it's funny, I've got a post-it in front of me with like my keywords for my business, and it's like I've just said some of them without even thinking about it. But it's just I want to, it's all about being seen as an expert in your field and like being all the buzzwords, buzzword bingo. But I think at the end of it, whether you're a couple planning your wedding or whether you're a business owner, you're a human and you're going to another human to try and help and solve a problem. And I love solving problems and I love working with people. So it's just a really natural thing for me to do.
Sorry, Annie, go.
Yes. Right. So absolutely. And there's a couple of things from that. So friend of Yellow Tuxedo, Al Fawcett, Infinite Pie, he says they're only buzzwords or cliches if you're not doing them. If you're doing them, they're absolutely valid words to be using. And authenticity is a bit like that. It is in the small business world. It is overused. But if you're being authentic, it's absolutely spot on. And my other thought, listening to you there and, thinking about what we think, we've talked about this before. We've talked about, like, Emily and I, we've done some cool stuff. We've done some ultra marathons and things like that. And one of the women we went to watch speak once about her adventure was a lady called Felicity Aston, who trekked to the pole, the South Pole.
Oh, wow.
First solo unsupported lady, something like that. And a fascinating story, right? But the takeaway was she said to herself, I just need to get out of the tent every morning. As long as I get out of the tent, I know everything else will happen. I think being a small business owner is basically like polar travel. I genuinely do. As long as you get up every morning and do one thing, everything else will fall into place as you keep going and keep going. Because it is tough. It's a laborious slog day in and day out. Now, it can be fun. I'm not saying it's not fun and cannot be fun. But ultimately, you have to you've got to make your own decisions when your psychologist lecturer husband doesn't understand creativity businesses. Why not? But it is absolutely, it's dig deep stuff to achieve the goal. We're achieving things we've never achieved before. And, to do that, you may have to do things you've never done before. It's big stuff.
But one last thing I'd like to point out before we go into our final question, because we have to, I could talk to you for hours, Sarah, I really could. Just something I want to touch on, because this is a common theme actually we're having on our socials this week alone, and from the back of Jackie Goddard's episode that has aired whenever you're listening to this, a few weeks ago maybe. It's about world domination. So Jackie's aim, what she wanted to achieve at the beginning question was world domination. That was quite a large statement. And actually, what I appreciate about you, Sarah, is you don't want world domination, do you?
Well, I think Sarah wants her own version of it.
But that's what I mean. And that's the clarity I want to kind of bring into today's conversation, is that world domination as a statement can sound big, scary. You want global brand. You want to be talking to the masses. But actually, you are the other end of the scale there. But your domination there is about being able to impact the people that you're on a personal level, one-to-one, getting right into the deep of their needs in terms of their wedding planning or their whatever their print needs are. You are having that impact just on a smaller scale, but actually in terms of what your success is, that is a brilliant goal to have. And that there is just as impactful as someone who wants to be on stage doing a TED talk to 10,000 people in their own right. Yeah. Actually, for anyone listening again, please don't think that because you're working in maybe a bijou space, or you're working one-to-one, or you're the only person delivering your product or service, the impact you can leave on this on the wider world there for long term is just as important, and you are making things and doing things that matter. So that's what I just wanted to say to you there, Sarah. We think what you're doing is incredible, and it's the whole that Dory just keeps swimming. It feels tough sometimes, but have that bundle of people around you who get what you're talking about.
Our community again and again.
Absolutely. And I was going to say, like, it's one of those things where it's a marathon, not a sprint. And sometimes I have to remind myself of that when I'll sometimes just do a big brain dump onto a piece of paper and there's like 500 things. There's never nothing to do in a business. Like, there is always something to do. It's like the to-do list never ends. Like, you take one thing off and two things get added. And I think it's not looking at that big pile of just stuff that you need to do on that piece of paper and thinking, oh, I'm never going to get it done. It's like, okay, pick one thing and just focus on that. And like, I said at the beginning, you said, what do you want to do? And it's like, I want to get my website up to date and be out there and for people to find me. That's definitely not world domination, but that is something that will hopefully get me to work with more people. And for me, that is my goal for the next couple of months, is to actually get that done, because I'm the only person that can do it. I've wanted to do it for a while, but work has always got in the way, and it's like, no, this is actually time for me to do this now. And I think just being small, I'll always, I think, be one woman in a print press. Like, I can't imagine a row of print presses and a room of employees and things. That's just not me. It's not who I am. And I like living a kind of slow, seasonal, quiet life. Like, that's very much me. Like, when I'm not at the press, I'm kind of making things, or I'm, in the garden, or just having a nice cup of coffee and reading a magazine. So I'm happy with the simple things in life. That's come from experience, a couple of like tough times in the past. Just thinking, oh God, how do I get through this? And just getting to a point where you think, you know what, just something as simple as, sitting down with a book and a nice coffee, which is what I'm going to do after this. I have a Friday afternoon coffee slot that I go to my local cafe.
Amazing.
Something like that is just bliss to me. And it's like, if I can do that every Friday at 2:00, I'm happy. And I don't need, gadgets and 100 employees and all this stuff. It's like, no, just keep it simple and enjoy life.
How amazing that you've worked that out.
Yeah,
like,
took a while.
But like you're young enough, right? That's fantastic. I mean, you know what they say: it's better to have worked it out than not worked it out at all. Like love, and better to have loved and lost than never loved at all, and all that. But if you've worked that out, then you're winning at life. You're literally winning at life. And my other thought, I used to work for Geek Squad. I was talking about that.
Did you work for Geek Squad? You never mentioned
No,
it.
yeah, but you know why I bring Geek Squad? Because that's where I learn everything, not compounded everything about branding and culture. Working for Geek, very strong brand and culture, massively changed my thoughts on what business could be like. It was very interesting. And they used to talk about like world domination and things like this. And one of the things they said is, we may not be able to kind of fix the world. I can't remember the exact quote.
Really worthwhile saying.
Yeah, I know. I may not be able to fix the entire world, but I could fix the computer of a doctor who was, going on to be a Nobel Peace Prize winning doctor and everything like that. So we're all playing our part in the wider picture, just because our names may not be at the top of the list, so to speak.
Absolutely. Right. And it's never, I always say, like, in my business, the way I print is like, I can literally print as many of something as you want. I can print 100, I can print 1,000. There's no there's no set minimums that you have to do. It's like, I can work with you. There is no job too small, and there is no business that is too small to work with. And sometimes, I think sometimes when you're a business, like a small business, and you're trying to source, whether it's supplies or whether it's a service, you can very much feel, oh, I'm too small. I'm not important enough. And to me, big orders, small orders, every order, every client that I work with is just, and then people say this, oh, everyone's important, but honestly, it's like, it doesn't matter whether you come to me and you're spending thousands of pounds or hundreds, you will get the same service, because I want to make a difference to what you do, whether it's printing business cards or a whole suite of stationery. Those business cards to you might, and I had someone say this earlier on this year, is like they went into kind of a networking event. They took the business cards and everybody was commenting on the business cards, and they're like, it just made us feel fantastic because people were noticing the difference, and like it kind of made us stand out and stick in people's minds. And to get that feedback, for me, that's all I need. Like, I'm happy. If clients are happy, I'm happy, and if it makes a difference to them, fantastic. I've done my job. Yeah,
amazing. Well done, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah.
Final question, Sarah, because
we're entering Joe Rogan territory finally for long hours.
Sarah,
Stephen, Joe, we're coming for you.
We're coming for Stephen Bartlett. If you could put an arm around your shoulder at any stage in your life prior to today, what would you say to your previous life?
Oh my goodness, that actually makes me very emotional thinking about that. It does. For all of the times that I still do it now, for all of the times that I ever doubted myself, because I'm quite open about the fact I have anxiety and anxiety disorder, and so there's a lot of doubt. There's a lot of voices that say, "No, don't be stupid. You can't do that." For all of those times that those voices have come in, or I've doubted myself, or I haven't put myself forward for an opportunity, and I've kind of stayed, I haven't said, volunteered to do something. Just, you can actually do it. You've just got to believe in yourself more. Everybody around you believes in yourself, believes in you, and you're actually better than you realize. You're stronger than you think. And again, there was a tough couple of years, a tough year a few years ago, and business had to go on the back burner, and then it was kind of like I had to bring it back. And if you'd have told me before all of that stuff happened, what was going to happen, I would have just thought, there's no way I can do that. I can't go through and busy, kind of almost start from scratch again and just keep going. And I actually did it. And it's that, going through that difficulty and looking back now, that's made me appreciate the small things, but also just made me think, you know what? Yeah, you can just give it a go. Try it, because you might surprise yourself. And I think I was always very full of doubt and anxiety, like this ball of nerves, and introverted, which doesn't help when you're trying to run a small business on your own. But yeah, just trust yourself, trust your gut. You can do it. Just give it a go.
Love that. Thank
Sarah,
you so much.
Thank you. You are a really valued, loved member of the Digital Circus. We are so happy to have you as part of our Digital Circus family. And always we're here to be part of your backup crew as well. Yeah. For anyone listening today to the Digital Circus Live, thank you very much for listening. And we will see you all next time.
Bye.
Bye.